What if your greatest struggles could become your most powerful tools for growth? What if the parts of yourself you fear the most hold the key to your transformation? Today, we're diving deep into the shadows of the male psyche to discover how facing our inner demons can lead to profound personal growth. First, let's talk about suffering. Not the kind that leaves you bedridden or in physical pain, but the internal struggle that keeps you up at night, the nagging feeling that you're not living up to your potential, the fear of failure, the weight of expectations. This internal struggle is what philosophers and psychologists have long referred to as our inner hell. It's a place within ourselves where our fears, insecurities, and unacknowledged desires reside. And while it might sound intimidating, this inner hell is actually a goldmine of personal growth, if we have the courage to explore it. The famous psychiatrist Carl Jung once said, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." What he meant was that to truly grow and reach our full potential, we need to confront and integrate the darker aspects of ourselves. Now let's talk about what this means for us as modern men. We're living in a time of rapid change and shifting expectations. Many of us feel caught between traditional masculinity and new societal norms. We're expected to be strong, but also vulnerable, successful, but not at the expense of work-life balance, emotionally available, but not overly sensitive. It's a lot to navigate, and it's creating what some are calling a crisis of masculinity. A recent study by the American Psychological Association found that 30% of young men feel pressure to act manly, even when it goes against their personal values. This internal conflict, that's part of our inner hell. But here's the thing, these challenges, this inner turmoil, it's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's an invitation to grow. To understand how we can grow from these challenges, we need to talk about what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is the part of ourselves that we've repressed or denied. It's our anger, our fear, our shame, all the parts of ourselves that we don't want to acknowledge. Many of us spend our lives running from our shadow, but here's the paradox. The more we run, the stronger it becomes. The key is not to eliminate the shadow. That's impossible, but to integrate it. For example, maybe you have a hard time expressing anger. You might pride yourself on always being calm and rational, but suppressing that anger doesn't make it go away. Instead, it might come out as passive aggression, or it might turn inward as depression. By acknowledging and accepting your capacity for anger, you can learn to express it in healthy ways. You become more authentic, more whole. Now, embracing your inner hell doesn't mean becoming a brooding, miserable person. Quite the opposite, actually. It's about finding balance. On one side, we have joy, spontaneity, and passion. On the other, we have responsibility, discipline, and duty. The goal isn't to choose one over the other, but to dance between them. Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, talked about dancing through life. He didn't mean ignoring our responsibilities, but rather approaching them with a spirit of joy and creativity. In practical terms, this might mean finding ways to bring playfulness into your work, or to approach your relationships with both passion and commitment. It's about being fully present in all aspects of your life. So, how do we actually do this? How do we embrace our inner hell and use it for growth? Here are some practical steps. Set aside time each day for self-reflection. This could be meditation, journaling, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. The key is to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Try this exercise. Write down 5 traits you admire in others. Now consider how these traits might have a shadow side. For example, if you admire confidence, its shadow might be arrogance. Reflect on how both the positive and negative aspects of these traits show up in your own life. Practice identifying and naming your emotions. When you feel upset, ask yourself, Am I angry? Scared? Sad? Just being able to name your emotions can help you manage them better. This journey isn't meant to be taken alone. Consider joining a men's group, finding a therapist, or opening up to trusted friends about your inner struggles. Growth happens outside our comfort zone. Next time you feel resistance to something, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What might I learn by leaning into this discomfort? Remember, embracing your inner hell isn't about wallowing in negativity. It's about becoming a more complete, authentic version of yourself. It's about turning your struggles into strengths. As we conclude, remember this quote from Carl Jung: "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your inner hell, your shadow, your struggles, they're not obstacles to your growth. They are the path to your growth. Embrace them, learn from them, and use them to become the man you're meant to be." Keep growing, keep exploring, and remember, the only way out is through.